Today, we bring the story of a wife who cheats on her husband on their honeymoon. Dear subscribers, we have crossed 1900 subscribers and are racing towards our first 2000 subscribers. Please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon for notifications for our latest story. Share a like if you like this story. Let's start with the story. I never thought my honeymoon would turn into a nightmare. My wife, Emma, and I had just tied the knot and were celebrating our love in a beautiful beach resort. The first day was perfect sun, sand, and the promise of a blissful future. But as the days passed, something strange began to unfold. On the second day, Emma started making frequent trips back to our room, citing the need for the bathroom or more drinks. Initially, I brushed it off, but by the third day, suspicion had taken root. On fourth day, when she announced yet another trip back to the room, I decided to follow her. I pretended to stay on the beach, but as soon as she was out of sight, I trailed her discreetly. Near the pool, I saw her exchange waves with a man. He got up, joined her, and they walked off together. My heart pounded as I continued to follow them. In the resort's elevator, my worst fears were confirmed. They headed to a different room. I couldn't believe my eyes. This guy, a muscular suntanned stranger who had been lingering around the beach, was now with my wife. My emotions spiraled from disbelief to devastation. I had to act, but the last thing I wanted was a public confrontation. Fueled by intense anger, I raced back to our room, packed our luggage, and made the gut-wrenching decision to ghost her entirely. I grabbed both room keys, leaving Emma with nothing but the swimsuit she had on when she entered his room and her ID, which I left at the front desk during my checkout. It was a harsh move, but at that moment, I wanted to make it as challenging as possible for her to get back home. I needed time to gather my belongings before she could catch up with me. As I made my way to the parking lot, my hands were trembling and my emotions were in turmoil. Despite the chaos in my mind, I was resolute in my decision. The 5.5-hour drive back home seemed like an eternity, leaving him behind to face the consequences of her actions. A few days later, after I had moved out of our shared apartment, Emma's mother called. I answered reluctantly, bracing myself for what was to come. She unleashed her anger about my actions and recounted the ordeal her daughter had gone through just to get back home. Apparently, Emma had entered full-on panic mode when she realized I was gone. Frantically attempting to re-enter our room, she found herself locked out with no clothes, no money, and no way to contact me. I had even taken her cell phone. After futile attempts to reach me from the hotel lobby phone and pleading with the staff, they finally let her in, only for her to discover that I had taken everything. With no other option, she had to call her parents and explain the situation. Her parents were furious, but wired her money for clothes and a rental car to drive back home. It must have been a humiliating experience for her making that call. At the time, I couldn't care less. And even now, I find it hard to muster much sympathy. The hours it took for all this to unfold felt like an eternity. Days later, after I had moved out and severed ties, Emma's mother called. She vented her frustration, detailing the ordeal her daughter went through. Emma, in full panic mode, found herself locked out of the room with nothing but her swimsuit. Her attempts to reach me were futile, and the hotel staff finally let her in, only to reveal an empty room. Emma's suffering didn't end there. The rental car she got had a faulty gas gauge, leading to her stranded on the side of the road waiting for roadside assistance. It must have been a humbling experience for her, and part of me couldn't help but feel that maybe in some way, she got what she deserved. Back at our apartment, I moved out before she returned. No note. No face-to-face confrontation. She didn't deserve that. The barrage of calls and texts from her went unanswered. I changed my number, deleted her contact, unfriended, and blocked her on every platform. I left no direct path for her to reach me. In the following days, messages flooded in from her friends and family, either berating me or offering sympathy. I ignored them all. My trust in Emma was shattered, and I knew there was no turning back. Weeks later, a letter arrived filled with apologies and explanations. While I could sense her pain, it didn't change the fact that she had betrayed me in the worst possible way. I didn't respond to the letter, and I haven't spoken to her since. That's my story, a story of betrayal, revenge, and a shattered trust that couldn't be rebuilt. The question remains: did I take my revenge too far? That's something I'm still grappling with, haunted by the echoes of a love that turned into a painful memory. In the aftermath of the heart-wrenching betrayal, I dedicated time to heal and rediscover my sense of self. The journey wasn't easy, but with the support of friends and family, I found solace and the strength to move forward. Months later, I met someone new, a woman who radiated kindness, understanding, and genuine warmth. Our connection was gradual but profound, built on trust and shared values. She helped me see that love could be rebuilt. And the scars of the past didn't have to define my future. As our relationship blossomed, we created beautiful memories together, fostering a love that was honest and resilient. Her presence brought joy and laughter back into my life, slowly mending the wounds left by the previous betrayal. We navigated challenges together, learning and growing as a couple. Eventually, the pain of the past began to fade, and I realized that happiness was within reach once more. With time, love, and understanding, I proposed, and she said yes. Our wedding day became celebration of newfound love and the triumph over adversity. Surrounded by friends and family who genuinely cared for our happiness, we exchanged vows promising to cherish and support each other through life's journey. The wounds from the past were replaced by the promise of a brighter future. In this new chapter of my life, I found not only a loving partner, but also a renewed sense of hope and optimism. The lessons learned from the painful experience with Emma guided me towards appreciating the depth and beauty of the relationship I now held. As we embarked on our life together, I realized that the story didn't end with betrayal. Instead, it took a non-expected turn towards a genuinely happy and fulfilling ending. Love had prevailed, and I had found a partner who brought light back into my world, proving that even after the darkest nights, dawn could bring a new beginning. Dear listener, if you have reached this far, please click on the subscribe button. It will be a great help.